Hello, true crimerers. It is time for another true crime in a short amount of time, and this is also another Coldest Cases by Canadian Province. Today, we're going to Nunavut. I hope I said that right. The Google lady told me that's how you say it, so hopefully it's pronounced Nunavut. If not, I sincerely apologize. I will be bringing you two cases today. Neither one of them has very much information, unfortunately. Both are about Aboriginal women in Canada. So, viewer discretion is advised. Our first case takes us to, oh God, I hope I say this right too, Iqaluit in Nunavut. And this case takes place on May 26, 1986. 15-year-old Marianne Birmingham was at her home there that day, and she was actually alone. Her mother had actually taken her little brother to, I believe, Montreal, and that's because her little brother was battling leukemia, and so he was getting cancer treatment there in Montreal. So that's why she was home alone. One of her older sisters, whose name is Barbara Sevigny, she was also out of town, but she would fly back to check on Marianne from time to time. And obviously her mom would call, like everyone was keeping tabs on her. She was being, looked after, but obviously, the mom had to go get this, cancer treatment done for her son. And I'm not 100% sure why Marianne stayed behind, but she needed to, I guess. So on May 26, 1986, it was one of those days where Barbara would fly back to, her hometown, and she would check on her younger sister, 15-year-old Marianne. When she walked in the house, she found something that no family member should ever have to find. Marianne was dead in the house. She had been stabbed and they said mutilated, just beyond almost recognition. She had been stabbed just countless times. There is nothing in any of the stories that I can see, and there's really not much about it, unfortunately. This happens a lot with Aboriginal women, unfortunately. But there's not much that I can see that would state if she was sexually assaulted or not. But what I do know is that they had no physical evidence that they could trace back to like a male subject, if that was the case. So if she was, he didn't leave any trace of himself behind. As a matter of fact, there is no evidence in this case, literally at all. The only thing they had was her dead body, and that's it. It does not appear they found any foreign fingerprints. The murder weapon, I don't know if it was there or not, but if it was, it didn't have any evidence to work with. They did briefly have a suspect in mind. Later on in 1986, a man by the name of Jopi Atsiktak, I don't know if I said that right either, I'm sorry. Well, he had murdered his own mother and younger brother by stabbing them both to death. He used a kitchen knife. It's believed that a kitchen knife was the weapon used on Marianne. But the kitchen knife in this case was one that was pulled directly from that household where his mother and brother lived. He would later on be arrested for the murder of his mother and brother, and he even confessed to both of them. He gave them everything they wanted to know about it. But because of the similarities between that story and Marianne's, they really felt, because it was also in the same area, they felt he may have done this to her. And it was really kind of just sort of grasping at straws, just because they just looked similar and that was about it. But he never once confessed. He confessed completely to the other two, but he said, I had nothing to do with her murder. And there, again, was no physical evidence to even link him to it. So he would go on to be sentenced to life in prison, where he could have been paroled after 10 years, but to this day, he is still in prison. He has never been paroled. Unfortunately, that's really it. One of Mary's sisters would actually later go on to be mayor of a town there in the area. She has since, she's no longer mayor anymore, but her and her mom and her family, they all just want answers. They want to know what happened to Marianne, because it was just such a shock to them, because Marianne was a super polite, sweet girl. She had no enemies. She had no boyfriends at the time, no exes. There's just no one in her life that would have done this. So it may have been random. But who? Why? That is to this day unknown. They are still seeking any tips in this case. You can always call anonymously and report these things. Because I always say this, the tiniest piece of information, it may seem little and insignificant to you, but it may be the biggest thing in the world to open this case wide open, and get the ball rolling again, and get this thing solved, and get her family answers, closure, and just something. So, if you have any information about the murder of 15-year-old Marianne Birmingham, please contact the RCMP at 1-844-370-7729. You can also call their Crime Stoppers number at 1-800-222-8477. Our next case takes us to Resolute Bay, there in Nunavut. I kind of like saying that now, it's sort of fun. 38-year-old Tabitha Cowlick was a mother of 6 children. She too was an Indigenous woman there in Canada. It was Christmas Day 2002. One of Tabitha's, I guess, older children, who apparently couldn't spend Christmas with the family the whole day at least, she had come home later on Christmas Day and found her mother basically lying in bed, and she was just dead. An autopsy would show something very curious. Tabitha, in her system, had battery acid and antifreeze, both in her, and those are what caused her death. There, to my knowledge, wasn't like any kind of like drinking vessel near her that would have had those items in them. I don't know if they found, you know, the exact antifreeze and battery acid in the home. There's really not much, again, about this one either. The level, however, of battery acid and antifreeze in her system, I mean, it'll put you through hell. If it's something someone wanted to do to end their own life, it would be one of the absolute worst ways to do it, because it just ravages your body. You're in immense pain. You're throwing up. I mean, it's just a horrible way to go. Not many people would choose to do that to themselves. And police, believe it or not, they didn't really say, yeah, well, this is definitely, she, ended her own life. They actually said, this obviously is a very suspicious death. The amount that they found in her system was pretty high. They're aware that these levels, and this is just not a common way to end someone's life, on your own. So they said, we firmly believe that Tabitha was murdered, that someone poisoned her. But the problem is they can't prove that. Because the fact of the matter is it is very possible that she could have ingested that herself. There's no strong evidence to support that. There's no strong evidence to support that someone gave it to her, either, forcefully or snuck it into a drink or anything along those lines. There's no indication of either side. But obviously, somehow it got into her bloodstream and it killed her. And she likely went through hell. I don't know if all the kids were at home. And so it sounds like really no one heard anything or saw anything. They don't have any witnesses. They have very few tips or leads. It's a conundrum to them. Her oldest daughter, Tracy, the one who found her, unfortunately said, like, my mom, Tabitha, was a wonderful cook. She loved cooking, and the last time I saw her, she was cooking. She was happy. She was excited, and she loved her children, and she would never leave her kids. So it's just, yeah. But unfortunately, this one too is also very much unsolved still. If you have any information, again, even the little stuff, about the death of Tabitha Cowlick, you can contact the RCMP there in Resolute Bay at 867-252-0123. As the legend himself, Robert Stack, always said, someone somewhere out there knows the truth. Perhaps that someone is you. And perhaps you can help two families, or at least one, get answers and closure they deserve. And that is it for today's case. Sorry, unfortunately, there wasn't really many unsolved cases or cold cases in Nunavut. Nunavut? These were like the only two I can truly find that had any information on, but both stories had it's like bare bones. Which really sucks for not only the investigators, but also for the families. Like, these ones suck. It's just, with nothing to work with, how do you solve it? That's where people come in. Witnesses. Anyone. As usual, if you have tripped, fallen, and stumbled into this channel, hi, I'm Mike. This is a true crime channel. I tell 4 true crime stories a week. So please feel free to subscribe if you're into that sort of thing, and give the video a like, and share with your friends and family, and hit the bell and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. If you'd like to support me in any way, we do sell merch. We even sell a shirt that says Making a True Crimerer. Has little font options or big font options. We sell a wine glass and hoodies, and you can customize some of the shirts. You can change the font color. Even there's like a rainbow scheme as well. We do ship internationally, including to y'all up there in Canada. Y'all up there in Canada? What an idiot, Mike. Oh, to you up there in Canada, yeah. If you have a Discord account, you want to join my Discord server, you sure can. It's in my link tree in the description below. Please be over the age of 18, or else you'll be given a smack across the face and given the old boot out of there. That's aggressive. But that is it for today's video, True Crime Aroonies. And as I always do to close out my videos, who wants to watch me cut my nose?